Right, hi guys, this is Scapegoat Stephen. I know it's been a while since I've actually done any sort of video content. I apologise for that. I've been in the process of possibly moving house, and then not moving house, and then I will be moving house, but I haven't moved yet. It's all very confusing. But when we do move house, I should have my own games room that I'll be able to get some more content shot on a regular basis in there to get up on the channel. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do a sort of showcase Tactica style video as my first video back. This is for a reasonably newly painted force. This is on my Warmachine Mercenaries force. I very much liked the idea of running the Lealese sort of resistance, hence the purple colour scheme, and the use of sort of some of the more iconic Lealese characters throughout. For those of you familiar with Privateer Press's Mercenaries line within the Warmachine universe, these are under the Highborn Covenant contract, which is essentially the survivors of the occupied Leal forces. So we'll start off with the battle group, which you can see there. That is Ashlynn. She is the warcaster that's leading this army. That is Rocinante, who is next to her on the left as you look at the screen. That is Silas Wishnailer on the right. Now Ashlynn is a very fast caster. She has a feat that is both offensive and defensive in nature, so very useful. I tend to find that in Highborn you lack a certain amount of armour cracking abilities, so she probably makes quite a good anti-infantry list. Her feat, Roulette, being the main cause of that. Given that it gives you anyone in her control area, friendly and enemy, rolls 2 additional dice on all attack rolls. Only attack, not damage, sadly. And then you, the controller of Ashlynn, picks which 2 dice to drop. So you cause you to hit, possibly critical if you've got critical effects, or your opponent to miss on a regular basis, or denying them critical effects. Quite good. She's got focus 6, so it's average sort of level. She's got ammunition. As a spell, she's got a spell called Distraction, which enables her to lower the mat and defense of target model / unit. She also got Quicken, which is one of the very nice spells she has. +2 speed and then +2 defense against ranged attacks. The speed being very good. She's got a very high defense, I think 17. Decent armor, although not brilliant. All right when she camps, but she's got a very low number of hitboxes, I think 14. So if she's not camping any focus, some blast damage can kill her basically. So on her left, as you're looking at her, that is Rocinante. He's actually another merc caster's personal character jack. However, quite useful with Ashlynn, because not only does he grant defensive strike if an enemy moves within his reach range, he's got a gun. You tend to find he hangs around at the back close to Ashlynn, or sort of the middle ground close to Ashlynn. He's also got something called Guard Dog, which ups Ashlynn's defense against melee, making her a defense 19 caster in melee, providing he's within 3 inches of her. So he's quite a decent all-round package, and the gun just allows him to crack off the odd shot when he needs to. And then Silas on the right, very nice warcaster attachment. He provides a free upkeep a turn, but if you're only using him for that, you shouldn't put him in a list. I also get use out of Arcane Secrets, which is a special action. Gives Ashlynn a couple of extra, an extra die when she's making ranged attack and damage rolls. Can be quite useful to tag things with Distraction, or the occasional but very rarely used AoE spell that she has. So that's the battle group. Quite light on the whole jacks, however there are a couple of other jacks in the army. What we'll do next is we'll move on to the units that are in the list, and show you what I've decided to take for that. So if we pan this way, so as you can hopefully see there are 4 units. So on the back on the right, you've got a unit of gun mages. Now normally they are a Signar unit, but I'm using them in Highborn Covenant thanks to the contract bonus. They're very good at anti-infantry. They have True Sight because the UA is in there, so they're a 7-man unit. The Mule is attached to them, which is the warjack you can should just be about able to make out if I zoom in a bit more. So you've got the Mule with them. Now the Mule has a very nice AoE 4 gun with critical devastation. He's also quite nice because if he stands still, he basically gains +4 range, and he can stack that with the sniper rune shot. Very tasty. So overall, nice little package. Expensive, yes, but again, decent anti-infantry, because I tend to use Ashlynn in a very anti-infantry list role. Then at the bottom left of the screen, you can see Iana and Holt. Iana and Holt are just they help with the penetrating of armour in this list, which is the one thing this specific merc list and a lot of merc lists lacks, is that ability to penetrate armour on a regular basis. So what I've done is I've put those two in the list. They also help mitigate with things like magical attacks if necessary. I'm not sure if they belong in this list, to be honest, because there are other lists I think that need the armour cracking more. But as I get further into exploring different merc casters, I will basically see who I think they fit with better. Holt himself is a monster. He's Rat 8 with 2 power and strength 12 shots. He's also going to do his melee and his range attacks in the same turn, so if someone runs to engage, he can punch them out with his guns, with all the little blades on his guns, and then shoot some targets further away whilst protecting Iana. But mostly Iana's there for the spell of +2 damage or the magical weapons, both of which are very useful. And then if we pan to the left slightly, there are the other 2 units in the list. So at the back you've got Alexia and the Risen. They basically wander along behind the front line of the Forge Guard, picking up corpses until Alexia becomes essentially a demon of a solo. For those of you not aware, every model that dies within her 9-inch command she gets corpse token for. Obviously sometimes other models may steal the corpses because they're closer, but essentially she does that to living models. She gains corpse token, she can have up to 20 of those little grunts in play. They're not particularly brilliant on their own, but they can do combined melee attacks, and she can sack them almost as though it were focus, like so she can buy extra attacks and she can boost attack and damage rolls with them. Very nice. I've had her kill Shay in melee before. She's very nice. She's also got a 9-inch make your opponent pay double for their spells. Very tasty. I don't think I've ever actually had that work because by the time she's gotten that close to the enemy, she's either dead or she's charging in and murdering them herself. She's also got a hand cannon which she can boost with the Risen, so that's all right. And then she can also create the Weapon Master Solo Risen, which are all right, I guess, for getting in the way. The guys in front of the Forge Guard, and they are used again partially to mitigate the lack of armour cracking in this list. I tend to put them on the front line because with Quicken they become speed 6, so it actually means and with Reach on the charge they've got an 11-inch threat. Or they can run 12 inches. They've got defensive line. You'll see later one of the solos is also useful for giving them various abilities. And if they do die, when they die, Alexia tends to snuggle up with all their corpses. And basically, eventually, she has just this massive unit of Risen. I have had a very good game against a Shay tier list that involved lots of infantry, where she was able to just pick up corpses after corpses after corpses, and you were killing her Risen loads of her Risen every turn, but she was getting loads back. Works very well, and the Forge Guard helped to start that Risen chain off. So what we'll do is we will pan round to start looking at the solo choices. So start with this gentleman at the back there. Now, anyone who backed the Warmachine Kickstarter, that is the limited edition Gaston Gross model. It's a Vanguard, which is attached to him because it's a -1 points cost when attached to him. To be honest, I haven't got a lot of decent use out of him at the moment. I think that's just due to the lack of practice with him. Not really getting how he works. He's all right. He's nice enough, and I think once I get some more games under my belt with him, so I've only played 2 or 3 games with him, I think that will help quite a lot in getting to see sort of how he works a bit better. So we'll just pan Right, so we get all 4 of the solos in. Yep, right, so these 4. So working left to right, we've got Rupert Carvolo. He can dish out either Pathfinder, Tough and Fearless, or the ability no one ever uses. +1 Defense and Terror. Sorry, that ability is used every now and then. Not so much as the other 2. To be honest, the Tough and Fearless is probably the one that gets seen the most out of all of them. And to be honest, it's the one I tend to find used a lot, just because Tough and Forge Guard are, you know, slightly more survivable. Later on in the game, Tough and Risen are quite hilarious as well, just because you spam them into your opponent's army and it makes them really difficult to get rid of. Reinhold is there for 2 abilities. He has 3, although the 3rd one is rarely used, which is the Spyglass one. That said, I know a local Signar player who uses Spyglass every time on turn 1. Reinhold has Reload, which will give Ashlynn an additional shot with her pistol every turn. She, however, also has Gunfighters, so she can use that second shot in melee, and also being a weapon master in melee, she gets some decent use out of it. He's also got an ability I've used quite often on him actually, which is Lucky Charm, which is add an additional die to either a hit or damage roll and then drop 1. So that makes Distraction really reliable for tagging opponents' units with. I've basically neutered entire units with that by keep hitting them every turn after turn after turn, especially if you lower their map to a sufficient level. Then you've got Tarin de la Rovisi. She's a Laeli's sort of gun mage. Well, she's a Laeli's gun mage, but she's not particularly loyal to the deposed government. To be honest, she's mostly in the list for thematic purposes. She's alright, but because this list doesn't have a massive amount of ranged assassination potential, her Shadow Fire abilities aren't probably quite as good as they could be used elsewhere. Again, she's a model that I like the look of and I like the stats of, but it's probably finding a list that fits her better than this one perhaps. I really do want to get some decent use out of her. Maybe it's up to me to change the list up, make it a bit more shooting heavy perhaps, or maybe save her for something like Ashlyn's Theme Force. And then on the right we have Anastasia Debray. Again, more for thematic purposes. She has, especially she's Laeli's Spy, she's got Ambush. She's also got an ability that you get her close enough to your opponent's Warcaster, then all models in her command range get to make a move and an attack. It's just a normal attack, it's a melee attack, so I suppose if you can get close enough to their caster, which I haven't yet managed, you can get a nice bit of a nice bunch of extra attacks in there. Again, there's probably a better use of 2 points for this list, but this is the thematic list, and the models I got together quickest and painted the quickest. So again, it's more for thematic purposes, and I'll be exploring sort of perhaps a more competitive, in inverted commas, Ashlynn list at a later date. But for now, I'm quite happy with this. So that's my Ashlynn list. I hope at some point to get around to doing some perhaps video battle reports. I know some people are into that sort of thing, some people aren't, but perhaps I want to do, even if it's just some introductory videos, you know, this is how the game's played. But I definitely want to get some more content other than just unboxing videos, although I am going to continue with them. I want to try and get some more diverse content onto the channel. If you can think of anything you would like to see, please drop it in a comment below and I'll see if I can manage it. I've got 3 or 4 different factions now, so I am able to try and change up things if people want to see something different. I am at the moment, however, looking primarily to focus on mercenaries. I've even got a blog that I've started on the PP forums themselves. I'll put a link in the description so you can go see. So far I've had 6 games with Ashlynn. With this sort of list, there's been a couple of changes here and there, but primarily it's been using this loadout, or very similar to this loadout, just to get sort of some practice in. The idea being 10 games with Ashlynn, then I'll move on to a new caster, different build, and just generally explore getting the most out of mercs, because mercs can be quite a challenging thing to play. I expect it will up my game for my circle and my Signar as well at a later date when I return to them, you know, perhaps for tournament or a game or something different to try. So that was a quick go through of that particular merc list that I've been running quite recently. As I've said, please drop me comments, likes, let me know what you thought about the video, and I will try to get as much content as possible up before I move house, because I don't know obviously how long I'll be without the internet at that particular point, but I will try and get as much content as possible up there to be available to people whilst I'm in the process of moving. Okay, so thank you for watching. This was Scapegoat Stephen. Thank you very much.